Outer Banks is back, baby! What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another video. So today I've got my review of Outer Banks Season 4, Part 1. The first 5 episodes of the season are now streaming on Netflix. We have to wait about a month to watch the next 5. This is my non-spoiler review of the episode, so hit that like button, comment your thoughts on the season so far down below, and of course subscribe if you haven't already. But let's just dive right in. Let's waste no time. So the first 3 seasons of Outer Banks almost feel like one chapter of this whole story, and Season 4, it's like a fresh new start in a sense, and this season acknowledges that from the jump. As the first episode, the majority of it is almost a flashback that sort of recontextualizes the final little epilogue scene we have in Season 3 where Blackbeard is mentioned, and I thought that was really cleverly done. I'm not going to spoil what all goes down there, but we can revisit the finale of Season 3 with new information and view it through a different lens because of a lot of the depth that they added with flashback scenes. But talking about the pros of Season 4, I felt as though this season is a return to form for this show. You could probably ask most fans of the show, and I think if you said, hey, what's the worst season so far? Season 3 is going to be 99% of people's answer. It's not a bad season by any means, but the gang is split up. You got John B with his dad, everyone kind of doing their own thing. We leave the Outer Banks near the end for like a good chunk of the season. In fact, we're not even in the Outer Banks, so it just feels a bit off. I am happy to say that Season 4 is a return to form. We're going back to the roots of Outer Banks. The majority of what we've seen so far takes place either in the Outer Banks or in Charleston, and it's really nice to have the vibe constantly. It's not like we're thrown off thinking, oh, what are we doing in South America right now? No, we are in the Outer Banks, and they embrace that setting, which to me almost is its own character in the show. That carefree, chill vibe associated with the Outer Banks is present here in the season so far, and I tip my hat to them for going back to the roots. And I would have to say probably my favorite element of Season 4 so far is that the whole gang of Pogues is together. When this group is split up for the majority of the season, something just feels missing. Them all being together is what makes this show have that magic, right? It's like when you have a sports team and one of the star players on the lineup is injured. Something just feels off. The chemistry's a bit off when they play a game that day. Well, here, everyone's got to be together, and they are, fortunately, dealing with a new adventure. Now, they're still treasure hunting, and this time they're headed after something involving Blackbeard and a sunken ship. I don't want to get too much into the plot details here, but we do delve into a bit of the supernatural side of this world, which I'm kind of here for. This drops in October, and I can't lie, in Episode 2, there are some spooky moments, and there are a couple shots here and there that really had me unsettled. So I kind of understand why they dropped it in October now, because they are going in a bit on the supernatural side, potentially revolving around a curse, and I was eating it up. With any show that's reached its 4th season, something I take away is how it feels so rewarding as a viewer to watch relationships progress from Season 1 all the way to a 4th season. Because at this point, this show itself has had so many episodes that we've gotten to know these characters, and so not a lot of time has to be spent, introducing new characters or setting up these elaborate backstories for characters because it's a 4th season. So we have 3 established relationships within our group of Pogues, and it's just sweet to be able to know, hey, they're probably going to be okay. They have bigger fish to fry collectively. We don't have to worry about the intricacies of relationship drama. Will they, won't they? We don't have to do any of that crap because it's in Season 4. And again, we know these characters love each other. They're probably going to be together forever unless the writers want to break them up. But for now, smooth sailing relationship-wise, and I think that's very rewarding. This show has earned the right to just have happy relationships, and the conflict, tension doesn't have to come from the relationships. It can be external. And I'll say this much, the intensity is here. I would say of the 4 seasons, the stakes feel the highest they've ever been in Season 4. There are multiple hold your breath moments in the first ep, the second ep, all the way through the 5th episode. Each ep has another moment where I'm like, oh my gosh, how's the gang gonna get out of this one? Because they continue to dig themselves into deeper and deeper holes. They somehow end up getting out of it. I don't know if they will in this season, honestly, because there's a lot of loose ends right now. I'll talk about that in a second, but I really am amazed by this group of Pogues and their ability to find trouble around every turn. But we're back with another treasure hunting adventure. This time it's Blackbeard's ship. I remember when Season 3 ended, I was like, hell yeah, bring it on. And the way they've introduced it is this specific family has, tasked the Pogues with going and finding a certain object in a sunken ship, and that's kind of the catalyst that launches the rest of the season forward. More secrets are revealed. There's lots of twists and turns and reveals around every corner. So I will say this season has kept me on my toes and it does end in a cliffhanger. I won't be saying what, but it's one of those cliffhangers that makes you go, whoa. And it's honestly one that recontextualizes everything you thought you knew about someone. And I sat down and watched all 5 episodes pretty much in one go. The pacing's top notch. Each episode ends with a semi-cliffhanger that makes you want to roll right into the next one, but it's not just all full-fledged treasure hunting. It's not like every scene is just this big exposition dump about Blackbeard and why they have to go after this treasure. There's a lot more focus on the Pogues and the Kooks and their drama, and I feel like we got away from that in Season 3. It feels good to go back to the roots again. They all still live on this island, they're territorial, and they've got bad blood. This is an ongoing rivalry between the Pogues and the Kooks, and it's great to see them just have beef again, something that stood out in the earlier seasons, and they've really kind of brought that idea back to the show when it feels like it took a back seat in last season. And I'm impressed again with how this season has a variety of super intense, thrilling scenes. We're talking scuba diving and underwater fights. We're talking like dirt bike races, and even scenes that reminded me of Indiana Jones or National Treasure when we're actually going underground in tombs. They're really going in on the treasure hunting, but the intensity is there. I can't emphasize that enough. Now, this season is not without its flaws, in my opinion. I think every season of Outer Banks has its cons. I'm well aware of that. And one thing that really irked me so far through the first 5 episodes is how a lot of the situations that the Pogues get themselves in that feel life-altering for the worst, like, oh, this is the end of the world, we're never going to get out of this one, those situations end up feeling like they're resolved pretty comfortably and rather quickly. So it can feel a bit repetitive as a viewer, and that goes beyond just moments of conflict. That also extends to character drama. You've got your typical, John B. versus Topper back in action here. It's like, how many times are we going to go through the motions with this thing of them trying to like bro off and impress Sarah? It can get a little irritating. Like we've seen Rafe have his issues with Sarah Cameron for seasons now. Is that actually going anywhere? Same with Rafe and Key. It's like, are we just going to keep doing this thing forever? It's like I've seen the movie before at this point, So a lot of the drama between characters feels a bit played out. And another thing that bothered the crap out of me was in the first episode, and I'd say maybe the first 2 episodes, JJ's character had his stupidity turned up to 1,000. Like, we all know JJ's irrational. He doesn't really think before doing. He's very impulsive by nature, and that's been on display for multiple seasons, but you would think by now JJ would have learned his lesson, and that's just not the case. He does some ridiculously stupid things in the first episode that I feel like he only does in order for them to actually set up a season 4 and set the gang back a bit, okay? I'm not gonna say what, if you've seen, but it's like the character lacks any logic. He has critical thinking skills. We've seen him use them in seasons past, but he just is so dumb that it's really frustrating to feel for him early on. You're like, dude, what are you doing? And the thing that bothered me even more is like, why are his friends not stepping in and stopping it? He'll make a horrible decision and there will be time for them to say, wait a second, let's back out as we don't have to go through with this. And they'll be like, no, you know what? Let's just go through with it. But damn it, JJ, why do you keep screwing us? Stop it. Just put an end to it before it starts. I'll say this much. The first episode, the flashback I referenced earlier, a lot of it can feel convenient just so they can have setbacks for the actual setup of season 4 with the Blackbeard treasure hunt. Not to say I didn't enjoy it, but again, there are things like that that just frustrated me. And the way the writers handled JJ's character in the first episode really got under my skin. But all in all, I am so in on season 4 of Outer Banks. The treasure hunting adventures there, the teen drama's back and it's in full force. It's filled with reveals, twists and turns, and the way the 5th episode ended has me clamoring to watch the next part in November. What we've seen so far is a huge step up from season 3, and it's on pace to potentially go down as the best season of Outer Banks. Seasons 1 and 2 are neck and neck for me as to which one's the best of the show. Season 4, I'd say so far through 5 eps, is right on par with those, if not a bit better. And it's just going to keep getting better, I feel, when we get the next 5 episodes. I've said this many times on the channel, and I mean it. I would watch Outer Banks to the end of time. I hope this season does well and gets renewed for a 5th. I'll be sat day 1. Hopefully these next 5 episodes deliver in part 2, but those are my thoughts on Outer Banks Season 4 Part 1 so far. Let me know yours in the comments down below and hit that like button. Subscribe to that notification bell and stay tuned for more content coming very soon. But until next time, P for L, baby.